Welcome in YouTube. Thank you for joining DutyRon here, back again with another live video. Hopefully everyone's having a great day. It is Friday here in New York. It is Friday, 3:15 on the PM dial. Good to see everyone. We are going to talk about the Eric Garner decision with Officer Pantaleo. It's a tough thing to speak about. Not a lot of people want to speak about this. It's a case that's been going on for 5 years here in New York, and we're going to talk about it right now. I am a retired New York City police detective, so I know firsthand how difficult it is to deal with an uncompliant, non-compliant suspect, and that's what Officer Pantaleo and the rest of the NYPD that were there in Staten Island on that day, that's what they were dealing with. An uncooperative person who had just committed a crime. So we're going to talk about that now. Let me just invite out here on social media. Hello, Jan. Good to see you, McFanny. Thank you for joining. I don't know why I'm not seeing the comments. Let me see. All live chat is all back on. Hello, Mary Swampy, Betty Barclay, Jan. Oh, wow. A lot of people here. I didn't see all of you guys come in, so I apologize. So we have a sensitive subject to talk about today, and we're going to talk about it together, and I'm going to ask each and every one of you to please not be disrespectful in the comment section. Let's talk about this. I'm going to give you my version of it, and then we're going to talk about it here. Hello, Patch of Heaven Farm. Thank you for joining. We are live today talking about the NYPD 5-year-old case of Officer Pantaleo. He was involved in the chokehold of Eric Garner. Hello, Alex. Good to see you. Thanks, Emily. A very difficult case to speak about. And today there was a verdict in regards to this case brought down by the NYPD trial judge. This trial judge, it's a court proceeding that goes on within the NYPD. Hello, Help Animals Live. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. So it is... It just came down here, local, just came down. The verdict was that they found this officer to be negligent in his activities that day, 5 years ago. Just to give you a little bit of background in regards to this situation. This was a call that came in from Chief Banks. Chief Banks was in charge of the Staten Island police officers. He's the highest ranking official in Staten Island, and he had sent out a group of police officers to go and investigate someone selling unstamped illegal cigarettes. And this is a perpetrator who has been arrested for this and summoned for this many times in the past. Eric Garner is a big 6 foot plus tall guy. He's like 6'4", 6'5", 300 plus pounder. He's a big dude. And two officers approached him, asked him basically to put his hands behind his back. He refused, and they were sent there by a high-ranking police official. They were sent there by a chief, the chief of the department, Chief Banks. His office sent them out there, and they were out there to do their job. They asked him to place his hands behind his back, and he refused. Hold on a second. Okay, I just shared it on a public, and I'm going to share it onto Twitter real quick. So guys, give me 2 more seconds while I share this. I ask you guys to please share out onto your social media. Okay, I'm done. All right, so basically, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. So essentially what we have going on in this case is they were sent out by the chief of the department, as I said, higher-ranking police official. They went out onto the scene. They saw this guy. They asked him to place his hands behind his back, that they were going to place him under arrest. And his response to them is, "I'm not going to jail today. I'm not going." So basically, he told these police officers that he was not going to jail and that he refused to put his hands behind his back. So therefore, you have a situation where you have a subject that is resisting arrest. He is basically saying, "I'm not putting my hands behind my back. You do what you got to do." So these officers, and anybody that's out here that hasn't seen this video, tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to go live and I'm going to play the video. I'm going to play the whole so-called chokehold incident. I'm going to show you that these police officers were very small in comparison to the subject. The subject towered over these two police officers. They were very short and very small, and they had to use whatever necessary force was deemed appropriate at the time. Now, also take into consideration that these two police officers, well, one in particular, Daniel Pantaleo, he was found not guilty by the Department of Justice. He was found by the Department of Justice to not be guilty. There was no criminal charges brought against him. No Department of Justice did not charge him with anything. The police department trial judge is the one who found him guilty today of misconduct. So that is the only entity that found him guilty, which is a kangaroo court in a sense. And if you looked at the Democratic National Convention last night, you heard candidate Mayor Bill de Blasio say that the family will get justice. That was last night. He didn't even know the results of the hearing, but the mayor and the police commissioner have a lot of input when it comes to these department judges, because it's a New York City Police Department trial judge. So I knew that they were going to suggest he be fired. Now the police commissioner has to recommend it, and that's going to come too. He will be fired, and it's just basically political pressure. Mayor de Blasio, candidate for the president, said last night at the Democratic convention, at the Democratic debate last night on national television, that there will be justice for the family, meaning today. And that was something that he already knew was going to happen, because he told the judge that they have to find him guilty for the family. So this is just shocking. And you know what? The mayor hasn't even ever publicly announced that he finds this guy in the wrong. And the family, the Garner family, is asking him to say it, and he won't say it. And they keep saying that he's talking in circles. So even the Garner family is not happy with the mayor. Police officers now are handcuffed here in the city. Now all police officers are being told by the PBA president that before you take action and put your hands on somebody, call a supervisor over there. So that's what's happening now. I'll see you soon, Barry. Thank you so much. 10 p.m. tonight on the DutyRon. We're going to go over this fully. DutyRon, just wondering if this was going to on, and he knew that, because he did his job, Bella Mia. This police officer did his job. He had a subject who was resisting arrest that was much bigger than him, that was suffering from asthma, heart disease, and was very unhealthy to begin with, but they didn't know his medical condition. They had a bad guy who was refusing to comply with the lawful order to put his hands behind his back. And the reason he is now not here anymore is because he opted, Eric Garner himself, as a man, decided to not comply with the police. Had he complied with the police, he would be still alive here today. He decided to not put his hands behind his back, and that was the big wrong mistake that he made. Okay, police officers do not do a medical check on people that they have to put their hands on and use physical force. Physical force was used, and he was placed under arrest in a situation that Gert and most people here in this room that are watching this chat, you guys have no idea what it's like to have, as a police officer, someone tell you when you say put your hands behind the back and the person says make me, or the person says I'm not putting my hands behind my back. Until you get in that position as a police officer in uniform, and you are there as the authoritative figure, and the person tells you, no, too bad, I'm not going to put my hands behind my back, and now you have to take police action. Until you do that, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it from the easy comfort of your own home. Hello, Blood X, welcome in, good to see you. So this is a subject that is very, very difficult to speak about, but I'm here to tell you the police side of it. And I've had personally myself, I've been in an instance where I had someone who was inside a vacant housing authority apartment, okay? A vacant housing authority apartment. I was called there for someone breaking into that apartment. There was 2 men inside that apartment. I was with 4 police officers, so it was me and 3 others. I was in the apartment. We got in the apartment. There was 4 police officers and 2 perpetrators. One of them immediately gave up and put their hands up and put their hands behind their back. That person was cuffed up. The second one turned around right in my face and said, I'm not going back to fucking jail. You're going to have to kill me. That's his exact words. I'm not going back to jail. You're going to have to fucking kill me. And that guy fought me violently. And 2 of the 4 cops helped me wrestle that guy down to the ground. And it took at least 3 to 5 minutes to get that guy under custody, to get that guy in handcuffs. It was a wrestle of our lives. We fought that guy with physical force for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, it could have went that way, Gert. It could have went that way because he chose. See, Gert, what you're failing to understand is that you have a choice. You have a choice in life, guys, where you have someone in a police uniform that tells you you're going to be placed under arrest. You could tell that person, fuck you, I'm not going to get placed under arrest. Or you could say, okay, I'm gonna have him handcuff me, and I'm gonna let the courts decide. I'm gonna have my day in court, and you'll still be able to be alive, and you won't have a chance of having a heart attack or having some type of physical force put onto you where you can get hurt or, God forbid, killed. See, Gert, that's the problem, is that people miss that whole concept. People just put that to the side and say, it's okay. It's okay to fight police and tell them, fuck you, you're not arresting me. Okay, it's easy to say those words, but when someone gets killed, or someone gets hurt, or someone gets injured because they choose to fight with the police, that's not on us. That's on them. Okay, it's not about excess. It's about compliance. And if you don't understand the compliance, then that's something that you have to deal with. And I understand it, and I respect it. I'm not saying there was a right and wrong here. I'm just saying that you have to look at this situation for what it's worth. If Eric Garner decided to say, okay, I'm going to comply and you can place me under arrest and I'll be out of jail the next day or in a couple of hours, he would still be alive here today. But he opted not to do that. He opted to fight with these guys and resist arrest. And when these resisting arrest situations happen, and you have a death that results from it, it always comes right back. It always comes right back to the end, in the beginning. It comes back to the beginning because all of these people make a decision. They make one fatal decision. Their decision that they make is that they want to fight the police. And that's a wrong thing to do. The people who wind up, listen, in my case, I fought that guy for 3 to 5 minutes. I was exhausted at the end of it. But we got the guy in handcuffs and he wasn't hurt. He went to jail and it was the end of the day. But had that guy had a medical condition where he had a heart attack or something or died in the process of us wrestling him, is that supposed to be on me? Am I supposed to be responsible for that guy dying because he chose to fight with me? And he was inside, he burglarized an apartment. The guy was a criminal inside an apartment. He told me, fuck you, I'm not going to jail. You're going to have to kill me. And he fought with all of his strength. Okay? So that's the point that I'm trying to get across here. I'm not saying every situation is the same, because no two are the same. Okay? But right now, the message that's getting sent out to New York City police officers is that if you put your hands on somebody and use physical force, if they tell you that they do not want to be placed under arrest, that you're supposed to just let them go. So, in other words, folks, if you say to a police officer, you have me, I'm doing something wrong, but I don't want to go, it's okay for you to just walk away? It's not. If you just were able to walk away from that, we'd have people committing crimes on a regular basis and getting away with it, you know? So the message is clear. The message is clear here. I'm going to talk about this tonight at 10 p.m. I'm going to show you guys the video of this alleged chokehold, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened in this Eric Garner takedown. I'm going to let you hear him say to them, no, not today. You're not taking me to jail today. I'm going to let you guys hear what these officers tried to say to him. I have the whole tape of when they approached him and when they said to him, you're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. And he said, not today. You're not putting me in handcuffs. And he took the option. He took the choice of taking it down that road. He could have simply said, you guys got me. I'm going to go to court and I'm going to fight this and I'm going to let the wheels of justice take over. But he chose to fight two New York City police officers, and it cost him his life because he had a cardiovascular condition, he had asthma, and he was severely overweight. So this was a man who was not very healthy and made a poor choice. Okay? He made a poor choice. And he chose to fight. He chose to use physical force back. Okay? So at the end of the day, using a taser or a mace would have definitely given the same result. He would have had an asthma attack and probably died. So at the end of the day, we have to realize that people in the street need to realize that police officers, if they tell you you're under arrest, do not resist and comply. If you want to resist, these are the possibilities of what can happen. If this guy was wrestled down and not took a heart attack and died, this would just be another resisting arrest case. But because of his poor medical condition, for his poor health, he died because he exerted energy in regards to his resisting arrest. And that's it, you know. I don't know, Dawn. We don't know. So this kangaroo court, the Department of Justice, the district attorney did not bring any charges. The Department of Justice, the DOJ, said no evidence to show that there was a crime committed here. This was a kangaroo court that was that always finds all the officers guilty, no matter how serious or how non-serious it is. The NYPD judge is just a joke. The mayor told the judge, find him guilty and we're going to fire him. He's not going to be charged with any criminal, period. There's no criminal charges. So Pantaleo will go on to have a career in a security field and probably get an elite position somewhere within one of the major security firms throughout the United States or throughout New York City. And he'll be fine. But at the end of the day, he did what he was supposed to do. He did his job. He upheld Chief Banks, who is the highest ranking official in Staten Island, send these guys out to go and arrest this Eric Garner. This was not a police 911 call. This was a call that was sent in by the community people who run the bodegas and all the corner stores. The community people who run the bodegas and the corner stores, they made the phone calls. Community people made the phone calls for the police to go out there because this guy was selling illegal cigarettes in front of their store and taking all of the taken all of his taken all of their business away from them. So he was being a menace to the local business and local business owners. So they called the police and said, we want this guy out of here. He's selling illegal cigarettes here. He's out here doing his thing. So at the end of the day, folks, we all have to realize that if you are told by police, girly gamer, this goes for you too. If you are told by the police, put your hands behind your back, and you choose to fight them, there's a chance that you can get hurt or, God forbid, die. So that's the situation. It was found that there was no chokehold by the district attorney. There was no chokehold by the Department of Justice. There was no chokehold found on the part of the judge today that found him negligent in his police duties. The bottom line here is we need to get a message out. When the police tell you to comply and put your hands behind your back, do yourself a favor and do it. Let your attorney and let the courts figure it out if you're innocent. If you have nothing to hide and you're innocent, you'll be innocent, and obviously until proven guilty. And let the court system take care of the wheels of justice. Don't you go and fight with someone who's there to uphold the law. And I ask, because it's dangerous for everyone involved. Everybody involved stands to have problems here. It is not a good thing. How come you don't hear of any politicians saying, if the police tell you to stop you to comply? Listen, it's common sense, Joe. It's common sense. If a police officer tells you, I want you to stand over here, and you tell him, I'm not going to stand over here, and he tells you you're inside a crime scene and you're going to be placed under arrest if you don't move, and you still tell him to go screw off, he's going to come over and he's going to arrest you. So, Joe, at the end of the day, use common sense and use your own common sense. The general consensus here is all of these cases, a good high percent of these cases, when people resist arrest and fight the police, they wind up getting hurt. They wind up getting hurt. So if everybody goes and fights the cops, I mean, that's a silly statement. Not everybody's going and fighting the cops. Hello, Karen Grant. Good to see you. Thank you guys for everyone joining. I will have a complete, full broadcast about this where we cover a lot of things. I've been listening to a lot of the press conferences. Listen, the PBA president is livid because now his police officers, when they go out there, if someone resists arrest, what are you supposed to do now? Now going forward, if someone resists arrest, should you just let them run free? So if somebody went and shot somebody and then you go over to take them down, it's okay, Springbrook. Thank you so much for coming in. If someone shoots somebody and a police officer responds and the guy throws the gun on the floor and runs away, and the police are not supposed to chase him or wrestle him down to the ground and place him under arrest? Come on, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's the situation at hand. The police are going to be handcuffed in what they feel they can get done with their job. They are going to all now be apprehensive about things. And who suffers from that? The good general public. The general public is now going to suffer from that because you're going to have police that aren't going to be enforcing the laws. They're going to be less apt to place people under arrest. It's going to be hands off, and you're going to have a lot more crime, and a lot more good people are going to fall victim to these criminals because they're going to know it, Yeah, it's very dangerous, guys. It's a very dangerous tightrope that we're walking here. So I know for myself, I'm glad that I'm not a police officer anymore because it's not a good time to be a police officer, but it's also not a good time to be a citizen that expects to be protected by the police. So for those of you who are out there, again, comply with the police, comply with what they ask you to do. Do not resist arrest. If you're going to be placed on arrest, and even if you feel that you're wrongfully accused, don't fight it. because it could mean the difference between life and death for you. Or you could get really severely hurt. So that's all I'm saying. That's my takeaway from this. I didn't plan to go in depth on this, but I have video from the PBA president. I have the video of the actual incident, and I have press conference from Mayor de Blasio about this situation. And it's all plain black and white. It's all pretty straightforward. This man, Eric Garner, albeit it's tragic that he died, he decided as a grown man to fight and resist the police. And that was his biggest mistake right there, you know. Even the LBA and Captains Union have nothing to say. I doubt it, Joe. I'm sure that they'll have plenty to say. You're wrong in regards to that. They will say something. They will come out and say something about it. I know for a fact that obviously we saw the PBA president, but the LBA and the SBA is definitely going to come out, the LBA, and then the Captain's Endowment may say something. So at the end of it all, guys, do not resist arrest. Comply and you will be okay. Let the courts and let the system work in your advantage. If you're innocent, you'll have a chance to prove yourself innocent. Don't fight the police and don't risk getting yourself hurt, because we all don't know what our medical conditions are. We could start a physical altercation with a police officer and take a heart attack. And that's what happened here. He had a heart attack and he died. So at the end of it all, everyone's saying it was a chokehold and he choked him to death. That's not the situation. I'll show you the video tonight. You'll see how much chokehold that came. He put his arm around his neck to take him down. But once this guy went down, he released the arm around his neck and he went into cardiac arrest. So guys, have a great day. Thank you so much for joining. If you're new, please subscribe. And if I've lost some subscribers from talking about what I feel is the truth, then so be it, guys. I'm not a bad person. I'm giving you my perspective from a police standpoint. The autopsy said he had a heart attack, girly gamer. If I lose some subscribers from me speaking my opinion and my take on this, then so be it. But I was a police officer. I have been in this position many different times. I've been in this position more than I'd like to say. And I say this, it's not easy to do that. Asthma, overweight, and heart disease. So there you go. The autopsy didn't show that he died from a chokehold. And for those of you who feel, or if you have it in your head that that's what this was, go and look at the autopsy report. It's available publicly. So guys, love and respect from New York City. DutyRon, a retired NYPD detective. I back the blue, I back my police, I back my firemen. Guys, if you're living right, you won't have any of these problems. If you're living right, we won't have any of these problems. Live your life right. Obey the laws, comply with lawful orders, and all will be well. Love and respect from DutyRon. Talk to you soon.